Officer, thumb me, can you straighten the camera out whenever you get there? Yeah, brother. Yeah, brother. The camera drop. You gotta pick the camera up out.
I got it. It was the first one was when the nose.
Say again?
That's what happened.
The camera's not straight.
Oh.
You fix the camera. Double shot. Bear with us 1 second. I'll tell you when it's straight. Nope. Straighten the camera out. Down. Up. Let's go. All right, Shalom Yahweh, Shem Yahweh Shai Barakatha, Yahweh Shemar Al-Fan, Shem Yahweh Shai. I'm a priest officer of 1,000 Abban. We're going to get it started with the I.S.U.P.K Canada class. If you have any questions, type them in. If you have questions, type them in. All right. We're going to get started. We're going to go into the so-called New Year's this class. All right. You heard, you understand, many of you in Canada know, of course, the so-called New Year's is coming up. And this disgusting holiday spirit is going to continue on for another few days. We're going to go into what New Year's actually is. When is New Year's? All right. The so-called white man has said that New Year's is January 1st. Here's the problem. The white man is the devil the Bible speaks of. You understand? And so everything, whatever he's bringing out, you can damn near count on it being a lie. You understand? You can damn near count on it being a lie. It is a lie. We're going to find out today when the real New Year's is. With that being said, Officer, tell me, if you can, get me the give me the Julian calendar where they made January 1st the New Year. If you can find that part for me.
Wikipedia, sir.
Cut.
Sir. The Julian calendar, proposed by Julius Caesar in 46 BC, was a reform of the Roman calendar.
All right, the Julian calendar was a reform of the Roman calendar. The calendar that you go by today, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's called the Gregorian calendar. We're going to get into that in a second. But the Gregorian calendar, its basis is not at all in the Bible. Days were never named after different gods in the Bible. Days in the Bible are simply named based on number. You understand? The first day being Yom Ra'ashwan, or Yom Akkad being the head day, the primary day. The second day is Yom Shanya, day 2, day 3, day 4. That's how days are reckoned in the Bible. Days are not reckoned by gods, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Every day of the week is named after a different god, all right? Monday, I believe, going after the moon god. Tuesday was for, you can look Tuesday up. Wednesday was for Woden. Thursday was for Thor. Thor's day. Friday, Saturday, etc. I don't remember it off the top of my head. But every day of the week is named after a different god, all right? That is a Roman system. The calendar you utilize is a Roman calendar, all right? We're going to prove it. Continue reading.
Sir. It took effect on January 1st.
Huh?
It took effect on January 1st.
Hold on. When did this new calendar come about?
January 1st.
You understand? This calendar took effect January 1st. That's why January 1st is considered the new year. Because the new calendar, the Julian calendar was established January 1st. By who else but Julius Caesar? The man that they believe was an unconquerable general. He's a god in Rome. He was a god in Rome. He's a god to the so-called white man today. You understand? A god for his military prowess, still remembered to this day, still in damn near every Roman museum. You can't go to a Roman museum and not see Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar is the man in the so-called white man's empire. He established the Julian calendar. He had the Julian calendar established. It took effect January 1st. I wonder why a ball drops on January 1st. I wonder why January 1st you're in a club and everybody throws money. I wonder why on January 1st there's gunshots going off in your neighborhood. Why? Because the so-called white man established that as day one, and slaves honor it. Like a slave will honor the holidays of his master. You understand it? Like any child. You got a child in your house. What you do, that child will do. You understand? Up to a certain point, up to a certain age, etc. Depending on, you understand, how the child's been raised. But a child naturally is going to follow his parents. You understand? In all things. We're like the white man's kids. You understand? We don't have enough food. The white man gives you welfare, quote unquote. White man throws us a crumb. We don't have a place to stay, no problem. The white man gives us public housing, halfway houses, and whatever nonsense is up in Toronto, etc. The white man gives us reservations in Thunder Bay, in Canada, in Winnipeg, in Manitoba, in Vancouver, all throughout Canada. Gives us reservations and filled with drugs and prostitution to satisfy us. We're like the white man's kids, man. And like any child, he'll celebrate the holidays of his father. His father likes to get high. He'll get high. His father loves to sell drugs. Nobody loves to sell drugs more than white people. No one. No one has trafficked more drugs on the planet Earth. No one has started more wars and killed more people over drugs than white people. You understand? And his kids do it. The so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American Indian in the world is the white man's kids. And they're going to go out and celebrate January 1st because daddy celebrates January 1st. All right, because Julius Caesar had it established January 1st. Continue reading.
Oh, God, sir. It was the predominant calendar in the Roman world.
In the what world?
The Roman world.
It's a dominant calendar in the Roman world. The Roman Empire fell apart. In something called the Renaissance or the Rebirth, European nations began to take on the spirit of Rome back. They began to take it on. They began to revive Roman art. They began to build their buildings with Roman architecture. That's why when you go down to a courthouse, when you go down to City Hall, you always see what? The columns in the front. Why does there have to be columns in front of every goddamn government building? Because what that's called is neoclassical architecture. All right, it's called neoclassical architecture. You can go ahead and look it up. It's architecture that's neoclassical. It's like the classic architecture. When you hear the term classic, when white people say classic or the classical era, they're talking about Rome, the good old days. All right? Classical music is music that was brought about during the Renaissance. You understand? During that time period. That's what the term classical actually means to white people. And so neoclassical design is on every Italian government building. It's on every Canadian government building. Go to a Canadian government building and look up at the pillars. Look at the top of the pillars and see all the different shapes and the carvings and the names at the top. That's Roman. You understand? Like the so-called white man that calls himself French, established the practices in Rome and brought it over to Canada when he stole Canada from the native Indians. All right. He brought over his Julian calendar. The white man brought over his New Year. You understand? Read on.
God, sir. Most of Europe and the European settlements in the Americas and elsewhere until it was refined and gradually replaced by the Gregorian calendar.
It was refined and gradually replaced by the Gregorian calendar. The Gregorian calendar is the calendar, every calendar you look at in America, every calendar you look at damn near in the world, in the developed world. You look up and see a calendar, that's the Gregorian calendar everywhere. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, November, etc. 12 months, 365 days of the year is the Gregorian calendar. All right? Officer Thumbam, get me the Gregorian calendar. If you have questions, we're live on YouTube. We're live on Periscope or Twitter also. All right, I.S.U.P.K Canada, go ahead and check us out. Not live on Facebook. We're having some technical difficulties on Facebook. You know how they do. All right. But we're getting it on Twitter and YouTube. All right. Like and share. All right. We're going into the new year. Okay. God never established a new year on January 1st. You understand? We're going to find out that when the Most High established a new year. Right now we're proving to you that the new year being January 1st is an invention made up by white people. It's something that's made up. It's man-made. All right. Give me the Gregorian calendar now.
Oh, God, sir. The Gregorian calendar is the most widely used civil calendar in the world.
What is it?
It's the most widely used civil calendar in the world.
This is the most widely used civil calendar in the world, meaning it's the most widely used calendar in civilization. That's what it means when it's the widely used civil calendar. It's the most widely used calendar by civilization, period. If you want to be a civilization, you have to have a Gregorian calendar. In many parts of the Middle East, because they're primarily Muslim, it's not 2018 where they are. In many East Asian countries, in North Korea, it's year 50 in North Korea, because it's the 50th year after Kim Jong-il took office. So it's not 2018, it's the year 52 or 53 or 60, whatever year that is. In the Middle East, it's the year 3100 or something like that in the Middle East, because they're Muslims. All right. But in all lands of the planet Earth, if you want to get down, if you want to trade, if you want to make moves and do business, your ass is going to have a Gregorian calendar right next to your little Yamamoto calendar in Japan. Right next to your Year of the Rat, Year of the Dragon calendar in China. They got a little nice little English white man's calendar, so they can do trade and do business. That's the mark of the damn beast, man. That's why everybody has to take on the practices of the so-called white man. That's why there's New Year's. There's a New Year's in Bangkok, Thailand. You understand? When before in Bangkok, Thailand, all they were doing was they were eating dogs and cats and going into whatever Buddhist temple they have. You understand? And living off the land and growing rice. That's all they were doing over there. You understand? And now they have Christmas. In Iraq, they have goddamn Christmas. They have Christmas everywhere, because if you want to buy and trade, if you want to trade internationally as a nation, you have to take on the mark of the beast. You have to think like white people, like the Roman society, and you have to act like the Romans. You have to do what the Romans do. You have to do the Romans' bidding. If the Romans want a war started, you start a war and you kill people wherever you are. You understand? And so this calendar is a calendar that's used widely in civilization. Continue reading.
Come. It is named after Pope Gregory I think it's the 7th.
What does it have? Does it have a V? X what?
X is 3 eyes.
13. X is 10. The eyes are 1.
It is named after Pope Gregory XIII.
It is named after Pope Gregory the 13th. It's not named after the Most High. It's named after the Catholic priest. And Roman Catholicism runs the planet Earth. You talk about a nation. Now, America is running things. America is where all the wealth's at. Their spiritual daddy is Rome. Rome today is the Roman Catholic Church. That's what it is. The Roman Catholic Church is not a religion based on Jesus and teaching the truth. The Roman Catholic Church is the revival of the Roman Empire. That's what it is, period. That's the Vatican. That's the Roman Catholic Church. Why do I know that? Why is he having meetings in World War II with the Nazis and with other European powers if he's just about religion? You understand? Why are Roman cardinals in the United States during World War II, they were saying that Jesus Christ wants us to go to war. That Christ wants us to go to war against the Nazis. Now, side note, but take that to the Christian church, the black Christian church. That's nothing like the black Christian church. Like the white man's Christianity is, police brutality. It is lynching you. It's burning a cross in your front yard. But our Christianity is, love everyone and be a slave. In his Christianity, January 1st is the new year. All right. And if you want to get down on the earth, you have to take that. You have to accept January 1st as the new year if you want to do anything in the society. And coming up against New Year's is so pivotal for that reason. Like, it's so heavy to go against a day that's been established. If you want to live, if your country wants to live, you better establish Christmas. You better have January 1st. You better have strip clubs and all that nonsense, gay bars, all that you have to have if you want to live and establish yourself in the white man's world. All right? You can keep reading, Officer Thumayam.
No, sir. Pope Gregory XIII, who introduced it in October 1582.
He introduced this one in October 1582. Officer Thumayam, can you get me Daniel 7:25?
Oh, God, sir.
Barzal, can you give me Exodus chapter 12, verse 2? All right. With that nonsense out the way, let's find out when the new year is. Is the new year January 1st, as was established by the the Julian calendar. And if I could add another thing to that, they didn't mention that January 1st was when the Julian calendar was established. What they don't tell you is that day is set as a new year because they would elect 2 new Roman consuls into office. A Roman consul is similar to a president. All right? There were 2 men that ran the Roman Senate or the Roman government. And they were elected and brought into office January 1st. That's why January 1st is the new year politically. All right? It also has to do with the worship of another god. That god's name is Janus. All right? Give me Daniel 7:25.
Daniel chapter 7, verse 25.
Matter of fact, Barzal, give me 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3. Good. Officer Thamayan.
Sir. And he shall speak great words against the Most High.
He shall do what?
Speak great words against the Most High.
There would be a kingdom that would come up, right? And this kingdom would be like iron. This kingdom will be like iron. It will break in pieces like iron. All right? The 4th beast was dreadful. All right, the 4th beast, you go into 2nd Esdras, the 11th chapter, that 4th beast Daniel saw was an eagle. The eagle is the paramount symbol of the Roman Empire, of the Nazis, of the United States, of Spain, of Britain. You understand? The eagle. Why is that? Because that's a symbol of the so-called white man. That's the 4th beast in Daniel, the 7th chapter. It's the eagle. You go into 2nd Esdras, the 11th chapter. All right. And the eagle, the Roman Empire, would think would speak great words against the Most High. Like saying the New Year's January 1st is great words against the Most High. We're going to prove it. Saying that homosexuality is an alternative lifestyle, which is also Roman culture. Saying that whites, so-called white people, so-called black people, so-called Africans and Chinese and Arabs can get together and have sex with each other and join hand in hand. That's great words against the Most High. The Most High never established all races to come together. He never did. He doesn't even establish all animals to come together. The geese are flying south for the winter. Do you see the pigeons going with them? Making geese noises and flying with the geese? No, the geese fly south in the winter. The pigeons eat McDonald's in North Philly. You understand? The pigeons pick out of the trash and get healthy in Philly. They eat breadcrumbs and leftover Starbucks, you understand, downtown. That's what pigeons do. Pigeons don't fly south in the winter. The geese, they fly south in the winter, and they do it by themselves. When the buffalo roam. Cows don't leave the goddamn pasture and go and leap and run with the buffalo. You understand? The hyenas don't go and run with the lion. They don't go and run with the pride. They don't hunt like lions. So people, it's the same exact thing. You understand what I'm saying? Every beast loveth his like. That's in the Bible. That's in Ecclesiastes, I believe it's the 17th chapter. You understand? He speaks great words against the Most High on so many levels, and he does it with his damn New Year's and his damn Christmas. Like the Most High had it recorded in the scriptures when Christ was born. You understand what I'm saying? Hold where you're at. Get me Luke the 3rd chapter. Is this 3rd chapter or 2nd chapter?
About the lineage of David scripture?
No, I'm talking about when Christ was born. Caesar Augustus had all the world to be taxed. Is that the 3rd?
That's Luke chapter 2, verse 1. Joseph went to Jerusalem to get taxed.
Right, that's in Luke the 2nd chapter. Give me Luke the 2nd chapter.
God.
Read.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 2, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus,
Okay.
that all the world should be taxed.
All the world should be what?
Be taxed.
All the world should be taxed. Go ahead.
Verse 2. And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria.
Right. Cyrenius was governor of Syria. Cyrenius was a so-called white man. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And all went to be taxed, every one into his own city.
Remember, all went to be taxed. The so-called, the Jews, the so-called Negro went to be taxed, along with the so-called white man and other heathens that were under the Romans. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth.
All right, Joseph went up out of the city of Nazareth. Go ahead.
Into Judea, unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was out of the house and lineage of
And
David.
saying Christ was out of the house and lineage of David, Christians. So how was Christ immaculately conceived if in Revelations, the 22nd chapter, he said, I am the root and offspring of David? How is Christ the root of offspring of David if he comes from an angel, a holy ghost? You understand it then? How is he the seed of David? He's the seed of David because Joseph is the seed of David. Joseph had sex with Mary, and Christ was born out of that. Yahweh Shai, the one you call Jesus in the bastard tongue. All right, continue reading.
Verse 5. To be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife.
His what?
His espoused wife.
His espoused wife. I mean, he was espoused to her. He was going to have the ceremony, but they were already married. He already came together with her. You understand? He already did the deed of marriage, which is sex. Sex equals marriage. You're saying the so-called white man telling you you're married. If you go out and get a marriage certificate that a homosexual and a homosexual can get, that a man can get with his damn car, with his Subway hoagie, he gets the same contract with a hoagie, with a dog, with two men, then tells you gotta go down with your woman, and another man has to give you a paper saying that that's your property, essentially, saying that she's a part of your family. In other words, that's great words against the Most High, as it said in Daniel 7:25. You understand? More things the white man did that are disgusting. Mary was Joseph's espoused wife, not because they got a Roman certificate, because they had sexual intercourse. And that sex produced the one you call Christ. Go ahead.
Being great with child.
Oh, what?
Being great with child.
She was an espoused wife, and she was great with child. How are you a wife? How does a wife get pregnant? Through immaculate conception? No. She gets pregnant because, you understand, that they had candles and wine and Luther Vandross or the Isley brothers. I'm an Isley Brothers kind of brother. You know what I mean? What's that song by Isley Brothers? Come on, so tell me. Judite Classics. Go ahead.
In between the sheets.
In Between the Sheets, another one. In the Dark. What's that one?
Yeah, we got right. Footsteps in the dark.
Footsteps in the Dark, man. They had some footsteps in the dark. Some wine, Moscato, whatever, and got it on. And she had the fruit of that intercourse, the fruit of that union, which made her his wife. You understand? She was great with child through sexual intercourse. She had Christ during when Caesar Augustus said all the world should be taxed. Did Caesar Augustus say the world should be taxed in December 25th? They should deck the halls with tax, with accounting? No, he didn't say that. The Roman tax season is during the springtime. Your tax season in Canada is during the springtime. That's when you go to your tax. That's when you go get your Canadian taxes done. That's when you go to get your tax check. All right. Read on.
And so it was, verse 6, and so it was that while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered.
While they were there, the days should be accomplished that she should be delivered, brother. While they were there. During this time, the sheep herders were outside. There's winters in Israel. Sheep herders aren't going to be, are you going to be outside herding sheep outside in Philadelphia? No. It's cold as hell. At nights in some areas in Jerusalem, it gets around this cold, 40 degrees. You're not going to be outside with no damn heater walking sheep around. You're going to get frostbite. You understand what I'm saying? The sheep herders were outside around Christ's birth because it was not winter. It wasn't December 25th, you understand, all covered in snow. It was during the springtime, during the Roman tax season. Mary had Christ during the Roman tax season and not December 25th. The Bible says that this empire, this last empire that will come about, this last great heathen empire that will come about would speak great words against the Most High. He did. He said that Christ, you understand, who's the only begotten Son of the Most High, the most special Israelite, the best Israelite ever to be born, that ever will be born. He said that man was born December 25th. He makes December 25th Christ Mass or Christmas, but it has nothing to do with Christ. It has nothing to do with the Bible. You understand what I'm saying? It's Saturnalia. And it's the worship of Saturn, of the stars and moon. You understand? That's all it is. So Christ wasn't born December 25th. We went over this last week. We're going over it again. All right. So you can take me back to 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3. All right, read.
This is the book of Second Thessalonians, chapter 2 and verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means.
All right, don't get fooled. You understand? There's a ton of different ideologies and beliefs. There's a flat earth. Some people believe the earth is flat. Some people believe that you can be a homosexual. Some people believe you can get high. Some people believe that December 25th is for the kids. Don't be deceived by any means. Go ahead.
For that day shall not come.
That day shall not come. What's that day? The day you don't have to live in a goddamn reservation with no doors and a dirt floor, you so-called Native American Indian. The day you don't have to be born into a family of meth addicts, crackheads, and drunks. The day you don't have to grow up in a broken home. The day you can go outside and not have to be mean mugged, you understand, by your own kinfolk. The day you can go outside and there is not a man ruling the earth that literally has sex with animals. That literally is the lowest race on the planet Earth in terms of intellect. In terms of intelligence, white people are dumb. Idiots are absolutely dumb. It's being shown now with Donald Trump, but they've never been wise in any sort of sense. They've been men that would grab women by the box, would have sex with married women, and would sell drugs, and would hate niggers. And you know what I mean? Like, he's a classic white man. Literally. You understand? Don't be deceived by any means. That day shall not come. The day when the Passover will be what the earth celebrates. There's going to be a day coming where you don't celebrate. You're going to be pushed to the Passover like you're pushed into Christmas with peer pressure. Man, what you got? What's your garment, man? You know what I mean? What you going to wear? You going to the Passover? And if the other nations don't celebrate the Passover, there's going to be no rain. That's in the Bible. In Isaiah, it says, whatever nation will not serve you, let it not rain in their land. There's going to be a damn drought if the Chinese don't come to serve the Passover. They don't keep the Passover. They don't give us their goods, all their goods, tithes, whatever tax we put on them. You understand? They're going to serve the Passover too. So-called Chinese, so-called white people, not with us, not in the way that we celebrate it. They're going to celebrate it the way we celebrate Christmas, because it was beaten into us, and we're going to beat it into them. You know what I'm saying? We're going to beat the white man into not being a goddamn date rapist, into not putting goddamn GHB, date rape drugs, into a woman's pill. We're going to beat him to be cool. You understand? So he can have women, so he can have more kids on plantations and in the mines. Literally. We're going to beat it into him. We're going to beat the homosexual and the rapist out of him. It's going to get beaten out. You know what I'm saying? We're going to beat the cannibalism out of the Chinese and the Africans. That cannibal nonsense, homosexual nonsense is going to get beaten out of the Africans. And they was going to serve the Passover. And in that day, January 1st, will not be the new year. Don't be deceived by any means, for that day shall not come. Read on.
Except there come a falling away first.
That day, which will be started or culminated, climaxed with the return of Jesus Christ, YAHANNA, you understand, in the Hebrew, his real name. Like when he returns, that's when that day comes. That's when Judgment Day is in full effect. You understand? That's when all bets are off. There is no more, oh, help. You know, there is no more, okay, well, I'm gonna get clean today. I'm gonna come into the truth tomorrow. There isn't gonna be no more of that in a day that's coming very shortly. When YAHANNA returns, that day is not gonna come. He is coming, and he was sent here to save his people from their sins. He's not gonna come and return and save us for being punished from our sins if we're still sinning. You know what I mean? Like, we're celebrating January 1st. Why is he gonna return and perform an intergalactic, you understand, invasion for drug addicts? The white man won't even perform a goddamn law enforcement intervention. Won't do any kind of intervention. You think the Most High is going to perform a intergalactic invasion for crackheads and for pork eaters and for New Year's celebrators? You understand it? And men that buy prostitutes, he's not going to. So that day's not going to come, except there'll be a falling away first. We teach this class. We're teaching that January 1st is not the new year, to get out of New Year's, Christmas, because we're pushing for the falling away to happen. Right. Because when that falling away happens, then this system is over. The white man ruling this current world is over, and the new world is going to be put forth. The Bible says in 2 Ezra 6 and 9, Esau is the end of the world. The fact that the so-called white man is ruling tells you, which is so beautiful, tells you that the world is coming to an end. This society of wickedness, of lawlessness, of just death and destruction and sorrow and misery is coming to an end. And the world of Jacob is coming forth. The Negro world, the savage world, and the wetback world is coming into full effect. All right, read on.
And that man of sin be revealed.
See, we got to fall away. The Christian church teaches January 1st is the new year. You better have your New Year's resolution in Jesus. I'm not going to smoke this new year. That's nonsense. It's idiotic. Officer Thamiam, can you hold me that? Get me scriptures about a man that leaves his vow, or a man with a double-minded man. Give me a double-minded man. Okay. In James, is James the 3rd chapter? James the 2nd chapter. Look that up for me. Give me a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. All right. Read that last part again.
God. And that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition.
There's got to be a falling away first. And that man of sin, the so-called white man, is the man of sin. You want to find the origin of everything that's against God? It's the so-called white man. Like the New Year's can't even be the spring. The New Year's, something like a calendar year can't be what God established. It has to be January 1st. He does that. That's a small thing. That's a calendar. That's a day of the year. You understand what I'm saying? He is the man of sin. Everything that's against the Most High. The Most High never established January 1st or the worship of Janus. The Most High never established for you to put a Christmas tree in your house. Never did. He didn't establish for you to go on television and watch a ball drop. You're a man in Canada, a native Indian in Canada, so-called Negro in Canada, watching balls drop, all right, in Times Square. A grown man watching balls drop right after you put a Christmas tree in your house. Christmas is the damn holiday of children, man. It's a holiday where you act like a complete fool and a complete child, all right? That's not what the Most High is coming to do. And that's not how the man of sin is going to be revealed. The so-called white man is the man of sin. He's the man that should be destroyed. He is the man that is worthy of the punishment that he's going to get from the Most High.
Right.
You understand? The Most High said that a man that lays with mankind the way he lies with a woman is an abomination. It's something disgusting to him. And they should be put to death. That's in the Old Testament. All right? The so-called white man says in Canada, marches in his little gay parade. Yeah, gay rights, everybody. Throws you a little weed. Oh, weed. You understand? Plays with weed like Steph Curry on the jumper. You understand? Like the Toronto Raptors game, throwing the weed up for you to alley-oop in a gay parade. You understand? The so-called white man is the man of sin. He's changed everything into a lie. All right, Barzal, can you keep reading?
Verse 4, who opposes and exalted himself above all that is called God.
Who opposes and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High. Opposes, let's get that word. He opposes everything that is called the Most High. The Most High called. Hold where you're at. Let's get it now. Let's get it now, Barzal. Hold where you're at. Get me Exodus 12:2. Now watch this. I said January 1st is not the new year. When is January 1st? When is the new year? We're about to find out according to the Bible when the new year is. Hit me. Exodus. We're in the book of Exodus chapter 12 verse 2. It me up.
This is the book of Exodus chapter 12 and verse 2.
Come on.
This month shall be unto you the beginning of months.
This month. Not last month, not 2 months ago. This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. Keep that. Hold on to that. Keep reading.
Comma with a comma. It shall be the first month. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
It shall be the what?
The first month of the year to you.
Come on, brother. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Isn't January 1st the first month of the year to the so-called white man?
Right.
Negroes, West Indians, and Native Americans that are his slaves, that are his children. To them, it's the beginning of months. What's the beginning of months according to God, according to the Most High? What month is the beginning of months? Finish that verse.
Verse 3. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel.
Skip me right down to the point. Skip down to verse 11. The Most High said to Moses in the second verse of this chapter that this month shall be to you the beginning of months. This is the new year according to the Bible. What in or around this month marks this month as the first month? What event happens during this month so that we could understand when the new year is? Does a ball drop in Times Square? Did God say that, you put on beads and have a New Year's party? Did the Most High said, you go and watch Forrest Gump and check out the New Year's on Forrest Gump? What happens during this month that shows you that it's the beginning of months? We're going to find out. Read verse 11.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 12, and verse 11. And thus shall ye eat it with your loins girded,
right?
Your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand.
Right.
And ye shall eat it in haste.
Right, you shall eat in haste. Go ahead.
It is the Lord's Passover.
It is what?
The Lord's Passover.
It's the ball dropping in Times Square.
It is the Lord's Passover.
It's the New Year's party in Montreal.
It is the Lord's Passover.
It's the New Year's party in the 6th.
It is the Lord's Passover.
It is the Lord's Passover. The Lord's Passover is the event that marks the month, which is the beginning of months. Remember in verse 2 it said, this month shall be the beginning of months. What happens in the month that's the beginning of months? What happens in the first month of the year? The Passover. The Passover month, the month of the Passover, is the first month of the year. It is the new year, brother. The new year is marked by the Passover. The month that the Passover is in is the new year. Is the new year, period. January 1st is not the new year. I didn't read January 1st. I didn't read a crystal ball. Hold on. I didn't read a crystal ball drop. Maybe I got this thing upside down. I didn't read a crystal ball dropping. You understand? Anywhere here. I read that it's the Lord's Passover, man. The Lord's Passover is what marks the first month of the year. Period. Period. The new year is not in the dead of winter. The new year is established in the springtime. And hold on, Barzal. I mean, isn't that just natural? In right now, where are the Bears at? Can I get the Bears? Can I get the Grizzly Bears in Vancouver? Where are the Grizzly Bears at? The Grizzly Bears are asleep. They've eaten all their food and they're asleep. They don't give a damn about January 1st. The antelope, where are the antelope at? The antelope are mating. The antelope are trying to survive in Canada, freezing half to death in a frozen block like this. What's new about this? You frozen in place. You a damn antelope in Canada. Meanwhile, your simple behind thinks it's the new year. Right. When half of the life in Canada is frozen solid. Damn near no ponds are moving in Canada beyond a certain point. A certain area north enough. You go north enough, there's nothing but ice right now. There is no life. There's nowhere to grow things. There's no new life. It's not January 1st. The springtime marks the new year. How do we know that? You see new antelope frolicking around, new deer stumbling, bears coming out of the goddamn hibernation, growing up, yawning, probably got new cubs in there, coming out. The trees aren't bare. You understand what I'm saying? More bare than a so-called a white woman's soccer team. You understand how bare it is? You understand? More bare than a damn Cardi B concert. Bare nude. Like a Cardi B concert. Like a Cardi B performance. That's how nude it is. That's how nude the trees are in Canada. That's not the damn New Year. The New Year is the springtime, man. That's when your flowers grow. That's when you can grow a single ear of corn in Canada. It's cold down here, brother. I looked up on a map, right? It's part of my work, being a school leader over Canada, took a look at the map and the geography of Canada. And the map showed you different areas where it freezes at. And brother, there is a line, I think, halfway through Canada where most of the year, all land here is frozen solid. And it's like half of the goddamn country out. Half of the damn country is frozen solid. And it sure as hell is frozen solid during January 1st, the coldest part of the year in the northern hemisphere. You understand what I'm saying? The white man is the devil the Bible speaks of. Passover is what marks the beginning of months, not January 1st. January 1st is not the new year. You celebrate it, you're an enemy to God. You understand what I'm saying? You're a terrorist to God's eyes, a criminal. All right? Only a criminal would leave, only something that was defective would leave what its manual would say it would do. Like if I had a washer, right? If I had a car, say I had a washer, and the washer is supposed to spin on its belt. It's supposed to spin and spin and put water in its drum, and it's supposed to spin the clothes while the water's in it, so the water can splash in the clothes, get the stains out. You can shake it up even more, right? Stop in water and shake it up even more, faster, 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 and it'll just whip off the dirt and grime. What if the washer decided, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to lay here and be a broke washer? What are you going to do with the washer? You're going to keep it for love of all nations? You're going to hold on to it? You're going to kiss the washer and say the washer can be whatever it wants? No, you're going to throw the washer out. You understand? That's you when you go and celebrate New Year's. You're like a product that's out of order. The Lord didn't make you to do that. Like, get rid of this goddamn thing. You understand? And there's no one there to stop him from doing that. You understand? He has every right to do it. Why? Because his laws, statutes, and commandments are life. And such as leave it will die. You leave the laws when you go and smoke cigarettes. You leave the laws when you go and get high, smoke weed and pop pills, you understand, and celebrate the so-called white man's holidays in any form. You go and you leave life and you go into death. And that doesn't need to be taught. That's your life. Your life is horrible. It was horrible. It was death. Just nothing in it. Just death. You're going to die by 24, 25. Brothers, you know, dead in prison for life, not getting out. Life with no parole. All right. That was our lives before the truth. And by not celebrating New Year's, we move on and push closer to life. You understand? And promote our brothers to do the same thing. You understand what I'm saying? But the New Year's is marked by the Lord's Passover. Drop that. Take me back to 2 Thessalonians. This man, the man of sin, he opposes all that's called God. That's in what we're about to get now in 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3. He opposes all that is called the Most High. The Most High said the beginning of months is the Lord's Passover. The Lord's Passover, Officer Thumayam, not January 1st. He says it's January 1st because he opposes all that's called God, all that's called the Most High. All right, read that part again.
Come. This is the book of 2 Thessalonians, chapter 2 and verse 4. Who opposes and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High.
Go ahead.
Or that is worshipped, so that he, as the Most High, sitteth in the temple of the Most High.
Right, he as the Most High. He's like the Most High sits in the temple of the Most High. As the Most High, it's like he's sitting in the damn temple, man. Remember now, the temple is where the ordinances will come out of. It's where wisdom will come out of. It's where the law, statutes, and commandments will be read out of. The white man sits in 24 Sussex Drive in Canada. That's the address of the president, prime minister, Justin Trudeau, whatever the hell he is, right? The white man sits in Canada in all of his government offices and says, we'll make gay pride legal. Make homosexuality legal. We'll push marijuana into Toronto. That's what we'll do. Opposes all that's called the Most High. The Most High never authored for you to put smoke into your lungs. Never did. That's something that's against the Most High. He establishes it. He establishes it. There may be, you understand, there may be, what's that called? Mad cow disease. There may be a shortage of lettuce. There's no shortage of cigarettes ever. I don't know if has there ever been a shortage of cigarettes anywhere? I've never heard of a shortage of cigarettes. I've never heard of a shortage in cocaine. I've never heard there is no cocaine in the market. I've never heard of a cocaine depression. I've heard of a, financial depression. I've heard of a lack of corn, a lack of milk. You understand? I've heard of food shortages. I've never heard of a tobacco depression. Never. There's never no tobacco. I've never heard of a whore depression. I've never heard there's no prostitutes in the market. Nobody's buying. There's just been a bad year in prostitution. Never. There's never a bad year in prostitution. There's never a bad year in cigarette smoke. There's never. You understand what I'm saying? Why? Because that runs by chance? No, he makes sure that runs. Food isn't important. The cigarettes is what's important because it's against the Most High. He can continue to rule over us. All right? Officer Thumbham, you have an Apocrypha?
No.
Give me Judah 5 and 20. I want you to keep reading, Barzal. Go ahead. Oh, you can't have, we don't have an Apocrypha in the back? Yeah, keep Janice, the water. Go ahead.
Showing himself that he is the Most High.
All right, he shows himself he's the Most High. He sits as the Most High in the temple. The laws come out of the temple. Statutes and commandments, the Bible. You understand? The law of the earth. He sits like he's in the damn temple pushing out his laws. Remember? It said acts as if he is God. Pushes out his laws. He's not pushing out the laws of the Bible. There's never a shortage of weed on the market. There's never a shortage of cigarettes. Ever. There's no shortage of whores anywhere in Canada. Never. No shortage of prostitutes in Montreal, Toronto, Thunder Bay. No shortage of methamphetamine anywhere. You understand why? Because he opposes all that's called God. And as God, he sits in the temple pushing his laws in his government offices, pushing his laws, his agenda. That's the man of sin. That's the man that needs to be revealed. It needs to be revealed to so-called Negroes in Montreal. So-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians throughout Canada, that the white man is the man of sin, the man of destruction.
Right.
All right, read on.
Verse 5. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things.
Oh, hold on. Stop. Read that again.
Verse 5. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things.
Remember, don't you remember? Remember ye not that when I was with you, I told you these things? Who is he? Who is that speaking? Is it Charles Manson? Is it Justin Trudeau? Is it the Montreal Leafs? Is it the Canucks? Is it the Canadian Football League? Who is speaking there? Who told you these things? Who knows? I want to get Barzal. No, yes, but through who? Who wrote these? Who wrote this? I don't want to give it away. Paul. These are the letters Paul wrote while in jail. Paul was in prison. You damn Christians saying a Negro that gets a record is no good. Paul was in prison for the truth. You understand? And while he was in prison, he wrote letters. This letter was to the school of, you look it up, Thessaloniki is the name. There's still a town called Thessaloniki in Greece today. The truth was there. Paul established a school there. In the school, he said, remember you not that when I was with you, I told you these things? What did Paul teach? Come on, somebody get me here. Somebody get with me here. What was Paul teaching about?
Paul teaching the truth.
Yes. But what specifically was he saying?
He was teaching that the white man is the devil.
Paul was teaching that the white man was the devil. Paul was teaching it. Paul was teaching that the white man is the devil. Devil means what? Liar or deceiver. The Bible said that this man of sin opposes all that's called God. We said that the white man established January 1st, which is proven by fact. You can go look that up. And we proved that God, the Most High, established the new year around the Lord's Passover, around his Passover. Around the Passover, the new year is established, not January 1st. That would make the man that established January 1st what? A liar. That would make the man that established January 1st a liar. The so-called white man, Julius Caesar, established January 1st. That would make the Romans liars. That would make France a liar. That would make Canada a liar. That would make the white race, the so-called white man's government, his system, his society, a liar, a deceiver. That would make the white man the devil.
Right.
And he taught that these people, the Romans, are deceivers and they oppose the Most High. The Most High says something, they go against it. You understand? In Revelation, which is so beautiful, it's so bedrock. You understand? The scripture, Revelation 1 and 13. You understand? A hair like wool, white and woolly, right? Feet as if, feet like bronze, as if you burn it in a furnace. That's so bedrock, but it's so beautiful, and that the Most High gave us a description of the greatest man that ever walked on the face of the earth. And his description is a burnt, jet black man with white woolly hair and red eyes. Where is this painting of this Caesar Borgia? Where is this white man in a toga that looks like Charles Manson? Where is that guy? Where is that guy that looks like Justin Trudeau with a wig on? That man you see as Jesus, that's not Christ, according to the Bible. The man that painted him wasn't Chinese. He wasn't Arab. He wasn't African. He was a so-called white man. The devil, the deceiver, he opposes all that's called God, called the Most High. Christ was the right-hand man, you understand, of the Most High. He's sitting on the right hand of the throne of the Most High as we speak. And they said he was a so-called white man. The white man opposes all that's called God. The Most High had the New Year established in the Bible around the Lord's Passover. They said it's January 1st. The white man is the devil the Bible speaks of. We say it in this present day because we're carrying on, continuing the thing that Paul taught, the thing that Yahushua taught, which was that the white man is the devil, a liar and deceiver on the planet Earth.
So I hope I give you a precept.
Go ahead.
You say that Christ is the right hand of God.
Go ahead, brother. Hit me.
Come, sir. Acts chapter 7, verse 55.
Mm-hmm.
But he, being full of the Holy Spirit, looked up steadfastly into heaven and saw the glory of the Most High and Yahushua standing on the right hand of the Most High.
Right, Yahushua was on the right hand of the Most High. It's also, and I believe it's also in the book of also Revelation. All right, but nonetheless, the so-called white man opposes all that is called the Most High. January 1st is not the damn New Year. We proved it in the scriptures. Why is there such a push for you to celebrate January 1st? Remember, because you're not Roman. You're not French. You speak French, but you're not the sons and daughters of Napoleon. You're not. You're not the sons and daughters of Julius Caesar. You're not. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. Why is there a push for you to celebrate? I'll tell you why. And it's also in the Bible. Get me Judith 5 and 20. Also, tell me.
Judith chapter 5, verse 20.
Come on, hit me.
Now, therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error against this people.
If there be what?
If there be any error against this people.
If there be any error against this people, go ahead.
And they sin against their and they sin against their God.
1 second. Barzal, get me Ezekiel 37:22. Praveen, what's going on, man? Good to see you back in the chat. You know what I mean? Sign in. Keep attending these classes, all right? Read it from the top.
Judah chapter 5, verse 20. Now, therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error against this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin.
Oh, what? Read that again. This is Judith 5 and 20. Now, I'm asking you in Canada, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, Israelites within Canada. I'm asking, okay, we know the white man likes to get high in Canada, right? That's no secret. Just walk outside, walk to the subway in Montreal. You know what I mean? Go to your heroin dens or whatever. Go to your Thai massage parlors in Montreal. You know the white man likes to get high. Go to Toronto, courtside. You know what I'm saying? Beachside, poolside, whatever. You know the so-called white man likes to get high. Why is there a push for Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, Israelites to get high in Canada? Read that part again.
Come.
If there be any error against his people.
If there be any error against this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin.
If there is any error against his people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin. The so-called white man knows that by pushing prostitution, being a whore, being a homosexual, loving whores, stealing another brother's girl. I miss to steal your girl. By pushing that, by giving men, you understand, the mic that say little black boys and little white girls, like Martin Luther King, that troglodyte Martin Luther King. By giving men like that the platform, he knows we'll be absolutely ruined. And North Philly is ruined. It looks like a goddamn war zone. It looks like Iraq. I'm not exaggerating. Toronto. Some parts of Toronto are awful to be in. Where we live in Montreal, I looked it up. There's ghettos in Montreal. In French Montreal, with crepes and poubelle le pew, there's a ghetto there where people get shot and killed. It amazes me. Wherever we go, we are ruined. Why? Because if we sin against our God, it would be our ruin. And what's heavy about this is not Israelites speaking here in Judah 5 and 20. This is an Ammonite, a so-called Japanese, who ran down our entire history in this chapter. And he told the Assyrian general, if they sin, it'll be to their ruin. And they're saying the exact same thing about you in Toronto. If you get high, we'll ruin them. Our constables will beat your sons until their eyeballs fall out. We'll continue to just sexually assault you, rape your daughters in goddamn traffic stops, and nothing's going to happen. We'll just continue to do whatever the hell we want. Because our sins ruin us. Transgression of the law is what's ruining us. It's why we're poor. It's why we're suffering. It's why there's rats. It's why we're getting priced out of Toronto and getting priced further and further into Lake Ontario. You understand? The so-called white man wants you Negroes in Toronto in Lake Ontario. Wants you Negroes, Native Latinos, Native American Indians, the hell out of Toronto. That's why rent is just unnecessarily high. There is no reason in God's green earth. There's no reason in West Hell, you understand, that an apartment should be $2,000. None. What are you getting after $1,000? Like, what are you getting after $800? It's just a small cube that you get to sleep in, really. You understand what I'm saying? He does that because he opposes all that's called God, and he knows we're ruined. He knows we can't buy those apartments, by and large. There may be a few Negroes have a college degree, a few Latinos, Native American Indians have their masters, but by and large, we can't move in like they can. We don't get the same loans we can. Why? Because we're ruined. And what's ruining us is New Year's. New Year's, the celebration of New Year's, will literally ruin us. Literally. I don't need to tell you how Christmas hasn't ruined us. I heard in the news, Brother Philly was ridiculous. 3 people got shot and killed. A brother got shot in the neck over a parking spot and died with his daughter in the car on the white man's Christmas. Christmas sets you on edge and makes you so damn depressed and sorry for yourself. This damn New Year's, it's against the Most High. It is our ruin. Why? Because it's a transgression of the law. Finish that verse, Officer Samayam. So we told you that celebrating New Year's will ruin you. Smoking cigarettes has ruined you. Getting high, having sex with multiple men, buying prostitutes, it's ruined us. It's absolutely ruined us. But let's find out the solution. Finish that verse for me, Officer Samayam.
God. But if there be no iniquity in their slack, now therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error against this people, if they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin. Mm-hmm. And let us go up, and we shall overcome them. Verse 21. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by.
But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by. That's crazy that an Ammonite knew this thousands of years ago. You tell me the so-called white man in Canada doesn't know that? Huh? You tell me the white man's intelligence groups, the Vatican, the Roman Catholic Church, you tell me he doesn't know that about you? You're damn right he does. That's why does every other commercial have to have pork in it? Why does a pizza always have to have pork pepperoni on it? You got beef, turkey, chicken, goat, lamb, salmon. All of that you can make into pepperoni. Go ahead.
Even some of these stuff these foods that they feed us like Slim Jim, beef stick, they got pork in it. People don't even know it.
Even the damn Slim Jim. You can't even snap into a Slim Jim in the white man's kingdom. You understand? That's how wicked the white man's kingdom is. You understand? You have to be very circumspect about your labels, eating the right foods. You understand? Because that's a law. And eating pork is a transgression against the Most High. It is to our ruin. Fatback is to your ruin. You understand? Chitlins and pig feet are to your ruin. You understand? Finish the verse.
Oh, come, sir. Lest their Lord defend them, and their God before them.
Lest their Lord defend them, and their God defend them. If we do not celebrate New Year's, the Lord will defend us. The Lord will defend us, and I'm not making that up. I'm not hypothesizing. I'm not making a political prediction. I'm telling you that if we don't celebrate New Year's, the Lord will defend us. Period. That's what's written down in the Bible. The scripture says, let the Most High be true, let every man be a liar. In the Bible, it was recorded that they knew, the heathens knew, that if you don't sin against our God, pass by them. Don't even try them. Read on.
Come, sir. And their God before them, and we become a reproach before all the world.
We become a reproach before all the world. Get our asses handed to us. Get embarrassed. That's what the Ammonite was saying. They know that if we're not getting high, they're going to get embarrassed when they try to beat our brothers half to death in Toronto. They know when we don't get high, they're not going to be, using up and sucking us dry in Montreal, in Winnipeg, in the so-called white man cities where we live. It's not going to happen. They're not going to walk over us because they're going to become a reproach. They're going to get embarrassed. And New Year's, not celebrating New Year's will give you literal protection. Literally. You literally will be defended by the Most High if you don't sin against Him. That's what we read out of Judith, chapter 5, verse 20. Finish the verse, or keep reading. That's the end of 20.
20 again?
Say again?
20 again?
Now read on to 21. Okay, well that's it on that then.
Okay, go.
Give me Ezekiel 37 and 22. Brother, solid facts. Whoever, brother or sister, whoever asked, what does Ezekiel 37 and 22 mean? Let's get the book of Ezekiel, chapter 37, verse 22.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 37 and verse 22. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel. Mm-hmm. And one king shall be king to them all. Mm-hmm. And they shall be no more two nations. Uh-huh. Neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all.
Hold that. Officer Thummy, give me the split of the kingdom. Is that Kings? What chapter is that? I don't recall. Rehoboam and the split of the kingdoms, the split of the nation into two kingdoms. Read that for me again.
Come. Verse 22. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel.
I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel. So on the mountains of Israel, mountains are talking about governments, right? The Lord is saying that upon these governments that are currently in the Middle East, which is Israel, right? He's going to make us one nation. Meaning we're going to be made into one nation and we're going to rule over all other nations on the planet Earth. We're going to rule over the so-called Arab, the so-called white man, right? And we're going to dominate. We're going to rule. You understand? Our home is going to be Israel. That's what it means when it says we'll be set up and say on the mountains of Israel. All right? He'll make us, take us two, and make us one nation. You understand? Give me the split of the kingdom, Officer Thamiel.
2 Kings chapter 17, verse 20. And the Lord rejected all the seed of Israel and afflicted them, and delivered them into the hand of the spoilers.
No, I need when the prophet came to Rehoboam and said, I'll rend the kingdom.
It's in the same one.
It's in this verse?
For he rent Israel from the house of David.
Right, for he did what?
For he rent Israel from the house of David.
What verse are you at?
21, sir.
This is 2 Kings 17 and what?
21.
2 Kings 17 and 21. The Lord said he rent the house of Israel from the house of David. The house of David is talking about the so-called Negro, the Judites, all right, so-called Negro that's in America and scattered throughout the world. You understand? Split them from the house of Israel. Those are the other tribes. That's most of Levi, most of the so-called Haitians. Most of the, it's like not the so-called West Indians. Some of the so-called Haitians, the so-called Puerto Ricans, the so-called Chileans, the so-called Argentinians, the so-called Colombians, the so-called Brazilians, the so-called Paraguayans, Uruguayan Indians, right? The so-called Dominicans, so-called Cubans, the so-called Native Americans, so-called Seminole Indians. They're the house of Israel, and they were split from the house of David, right? They lived in the northern part of Israel. When they split, they called themselves, or were called, the northern kingdom. The Judites who were in the south were called the southern kingdom. They became two nations. Even to this day. To this day, a Negro in Toronto feels as if he's no more linked to a so-called Latino than you understand. A bottle is linked to a sandwich. You understand? Then a table is linked to the air. Don't believe we're linked at all. You understand? Forget about the so-called Native American. The Native American you'll ask him what he is. He's a spirit or something. You understand? So-called Native Americans. They're not black at all. You understand what I'm saying? But the Lord said he's going to put us together. And that's crazy. People that at one time had absolutely no link, like the Brazilians and the so-called Negro, had absolutely no link in America without the Bible. The so-called Chileans and Puerto Ricans really have no link. Certainly no brotherhood, because nobody hates the other tribes except for the other tribes. You understand? Nobody hates the so-called Puerto Rican more than another Puerto Rican, and a so-called Negro, and a so-called Haitian, and a so-called Dominican in the world. We're two nations. The Lord said he's going to set us up and make us one nation. Officer Thamiel, can you get me, I will take the two sticks and make them into one. Finish where you're at. No. You get the two sticks. You read Ezekiel 37:22 again.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 37, verse 22. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel.
Right, he will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel. He's going to set us back in our own land. Our own land is the land of Israel. He'll set us up over the mountains of Israel. He'll set us up over the other governments. We're going to overtake the other governments. In the book of Daniel, I believe it's the second chapter, right? When it's the vision, in the vision of Nebuchadnezzar, right? At the end of that vision in Daniel, the second chapter, the 42nd, 43rd verse, there was a stone that came in and destroyed the image, right? The image was representing different kingdoms. That stone that came in was talking about Israel. That would come in and destroy those, take those kingdoms, destroy them, right? That's what this is talking about. In the midst, in the mountains of Israel, in the midst of those governments, Jordan, Palestine, Afghanistan, you understand, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, Iran, Iraq, in the midst of those governments being around, we're going to be established and we're going to overtake them. We're going to overtake them by force. And it's going to be established by the one you call Jesus Christ by YAHANNA. All right. Of course, at the order of the Most High. All right. Finish the verse.
And one king shall be king to them all.
And what?
And one king shall be king to them all.
One king shall be king to them all. Who is that king talking about? That's talking about the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Remember, in was it Exodus 19:6? He said, "You will be unto me a kingdom of kings and priests. You shall be unto me a nation of kings and priests." That's in Exodus 19:6. The Israelites are going to be a nation of kings and priests. That's how we were set up. The Bible says one king shall be king over them all, over us all. You understand? Primarily. There's going to be a king over us, but we're kings and priests. So what king can reign over kings and priests? The King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. That one king is talking about YAHANNA. All right, the one you call Christ. Read on.
And they shall be no more two nations.
They shall be no more two nations. There's no more going to be Dominican and Puerto Rican and Haitian and mulatto and pardo. You understand? And negro and indio. There's going to be no more of that. There's going to be all one nation. The Israelites. Yashar Allah, the princes of the power. Finish the verse.
Neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all.
Neither. Now, he said he's going to set them together, right? Remember, we were set together as one nation before. There were 12 tribes before under David. And then it was split up because of the sins of Solomon. Because Solomon wouldn't have had sex with white women, Chinese, African, Arab, every disgusting thing on the planet Earth. Because of that, the kingdom was split. The Lord said, the Most High said, in Ezekiel 37:22, that we're going to be brought back together. The so-called Negro and the so-called Latino and Native American Indian are going to be brought together. You understand? And when we're brought together, it says that the nations shall never, not the nations, they will never be split up again. There's never going to be another northern and southern kingdom. There's never going to be a split in the tribes again. Once we're set up in our land, in Israel, and that's being established here in the I.S.U.P.K. The so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are the Israelites. That is not talking about the Pashtun tribes. I think I broke this down about 2 weeks ago. I don't know why I keep getting questions about it. The Pashtuns are East Indians. All right, Pashtun tribes, I believe they're from Afghanistan. I can look them up right now. I might be mixing them up. But if they're the original people of Afghanistan, they're Elamites. They're East Indians, all right? They're not Israelites, and they will be ruled over just like the other mountains of Israel. You understand? Give me the 2 sticks, Officer Thamiam.
You need 1 stick, right?
Yeah, join them and make them 1 stick.
Okay, all you got to do is verse 16. That's already in the chapter.
Okay, read on verse 16, Barzal.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 37, verse 16. Moreover, thou son of man, take thee 1 stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions.
Right.
Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel and his companions.
Right. 1 stick for Judah, another stick for Israel, for Ephraim and his companions. Go ahead.
Verse 17. And join them one to another unto 1 stick, and they shall become one in thine hand.
Go ahead.
Verse 18. And when the children of the people, and when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, wilt thou not show us what thou meanest by these?
Right, will thou not show us what thou meanest by these? Go ahead.
Verse 19. Say unto them, thus say the Lord, thus say the Lord, the Most High, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribe of Israel, his fellows, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah.
Right, so that's talking about the stick of Ephraim and Judah. Ephraim are the so-called Puerto Ricans. Judites are the so-called Negro in America. All right, and they're fellows. Ephraim was the head tribe over the northern kingdom, so-called Hispanics and Native American Indians. Judah were the head tribes over the southern kingdom, the so-called Negro in America, scattered throughout the world, so-called West Indians, and so-called Haitians. Not the goddamn Afghanistanis. Okay, the Afghans are not Israelites. All right? And Hebrew stones found in Afghanistan means not a goddamn thing. They found Hebrew stones in Afghanistan. Well, hell, Hebrew Israelites must have did business in Afghanistan. Must have went to war there and destroyed them. You understand? There are Hebrew stones found in Afghanistan because Afghanistan is encompassing the Hebrew Israelite nation. That's in the Four Rivers. The Four Rivers break down. The true border of Israel is from Israel, the country, that little sliver of land, all the way over, stretching into parts of Afghanistan. That whole area is going to be run by blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. That is our land. All right? There are Hebrew stones found there because it's further proof that that's our land. All right?
I have a question to ask, sir. Like, isn't like the whole Middle East, like the middle part, is the nation of Israel?
It's the whole. It's politically what's called the Middle East, including parts of Afghanistan and Pakistan. So it's as far north as Iran, right, and as far south as Saudi Arabia. Right, and it stretches into parts of Pakistan and Afghanistan. The Pashtuns are East Indians, all right, that live in Afghanistan. I'm not covering this anymore. Afghanistan and Israelites, they're disgusting homosexual East Indians and Arabs, all right? They like to blow themselves up, commit suicide, and have sex with little boys, all right? They're not, and smoke hashish, all right? They're not Israelites, all right? Where were we? That's Ezekiel 37 and 22, all right? Drop everything. Let's get back to where we were at before Ezekiel 37, 22. We were at the, come on, let me up.
We're at James 1 and 8.
Give me James 1 and 8, double-minded man. Go ahead.
James chapter 1, verse 8. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Verse 9.
A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Going back to the New Year's. You can't say that you serve God now. Right? Hearing this. Wow, you still think that January 1st is a new year. You're double-minded. You can't go and say, oh, what do people say? It's for the kids. Just getting gifts for the kids. You're double-minded. Because now you say you don't celebrate Christmas. Because why? Because you're not a kid? No, because you know it's disgusting. You've heard us on the streets since 1969. Right? You don't want any parts of Christmas. But you do it for the kids. You're double-minded. And you're unstable in all your ways. You're unstable in life. Because you don't serve God. You don't know how to. You serve him in some things, and other things you don't. You understand what I'm saying? New Year's, I'm going to make a New Year's resolution. You understand? I'm not going to smoke anymore. I'm not going to be a drunk anymore. I'm not going to, I'm going to lose 15 pounds. How many people say they're going to lose 15 pounds? The time of year where the most gym membership spikes occur is during around the New Year's. That's when all the people rush into the gym to go and get in shape. How long are they there? Maybe a week or two. And they're back to doing whatever they're doing. New Year's is stupid. And you're double-minded. You're unstable in all your ways. The New Year's shows and brings out your double-mindedness. Your inability to finish things. You understand? Like people that make the New Year's resolution say, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do that. And they never do it. Because they're double-minded. You understand? You can't serve the Most High and be double-minded. Read on.
Come, sir. Verse 9. Let the brother of low degree rejoice in that he is exalted. Verse 10. But the rich in that he is made low.
That's it on that. We're getting into now. So that's Ezekiel 37 and 22. We broke that earlier. If you celebrate New Year's, you're double-minded. You understand? If you believe that the Pashtuns are Israelites, you're double-minded. Because here we are. We've been on the street since 1969. You know What we teach is the truth. The blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are the Israelites. You understand? And the heathens are vile, disgusting people that will be ruled with a rod of iron when you know as Christ returns. All right? The East Indian is, you understand, a grimy, filthy heathen. That's what he is in all of his derivatives. The Pashtuns are derivatives of East Indians. You understand what I'm saying? They're not Israelites. So wait a minute. The Germans and the Jewish, they don't get along, right? Does that make the Jewish man an Israelite? No, it doesn't. Does that make the Germans Israelites because they're divided in the same race? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Pashtuns don't live in ghettos. You understand? They're in London, England. They're taxi cab drivers. They don't live in the bottom. They haven't been in cargo slave ships. They haven't lived and suffered what you've suffered. And they're not Israelites. They're filthy, fudge-packing, having sex with boys, hashish smoking, disgusting heathens, and they're going to be ruled with a rod of iron. They're going to be whipped and beaten with the so-called white man when you know as Christ returns. All right, so that's enough on that. Pashtuns are not Israelites. The so-called white man's New Year's is disgusting, and believing that other people can be saved, that heathens can be saved, is disgusting. It's disgusting to believe that the Pashtuns are divided and they're written of in the Bible. Disgusting. Disgusting to think the so-called white man can be saved. Disgusting to think that New Year's is January 1st. All right. Bear with me one second. Also, take me to Ezekiel, the 27th chapter. Go ahead. Oh no, I had you hold Janice. So like hold everything. Take me to Janice. Get me Exodus 20 and 3. All right, we're gonna go into Janice. All right. The worship of New Year's on January 1st is the worship of Janice. All right, read on.
Oh, you read that now, sir?
Right, read Janice, brother.
Janus, an ancient Roman religion and myth, pronounced is the god of beginnings, gates, transitions, time, duality.
Huh? Duality. Janus is the god of duality. Around Christmas time, right? Doors of many restaurants, doors of many storefronts, right? Have what's called a laurel wreath. It's a circular plant, if you will, or herb that's covered with leaves, right? That is actually a portal. What they think is a portal. You understand? They have it over doorways. Why? Because when you open the door, you go through a new portal into the new year. That's why there's laurel wreaths over doors around Christmas.
You talking about the mistletoe, right?
No, mistletoe is something different.
Okay, come on.
They hang the mistletoe on it. But a laurel wreath is a circular herb plant. That's over doors because it's the worship of Janus. And it's not being hidden. All you have to do is do research. All this is Wikipedia. This is something you can Google on your smartphone. And we are showing you that the laurel wreaths is the worship of Janus. The worship of the New Year's is the worship of Janus. The month January comes from Janus. All right? And Janus was the god of duality. That's why there's a laurel wreath over your door in or around the New Year's. Keep going.
God, sir. Doorways, passages, and endings.
Doorways, passages, and endings. It's the god of doorways and the dualities. That's why there's a laurel wreath over your door. Transitions in time. New Year's. Go ahead.
God. He is usually depicted as having two faces. Mm-hmm. Since he looked to the future and to the past, it is conventionally thought that the month of January is named for Janus.
Right, the month of January is named for Janus. That's a worship of Janus. All right, that's where the laurel wreaths come from over your door. That's where the some so-called Negroes do this. Well, they'll have you eat beans black eyed peas and collard greens, so you'll have money and coins for the next year. They do that down south. All of that is the worship of Janus, and it's done around this disgusting holiday called Christmas. Also, Thumbim, can you get me Cronus?
Like two also, so you got the original name here, I read.
Do I read it?
Janus, the original name in Greek, I.S.U.P.K.
What?
I.S.U.P.K.
I-Annuaris. What does that sound like? Januaris. January. The month January comes from the god Janus. All of their months. Remember, in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3, we read that the so-called white man opposes all that is called God. Everything. The months and the days are named after the numbers. The first month is Kadash Ashwan. Second month is Kadash Shanya. Third month, Kadash Shalash. Kadash being moon or month. All right?
And this sounds so accurate because back in the Greek times, the letter J didn't even exist.
The letter J didn't exist.
Yeah.
They added the J when English added the letter J, it became January instead of January. All right? January. The month January comes from the god Janus. The worship of New Year's is the worship of God, the god Janus, and not the Most High. And the Most High is a jealous God. Give me that, Officer Thumbim, so that I'm a jealous God. All right? I'm going to keep reading. I'm going to read Cronus now, right? This is Cronus from Wikipedia again. In Greek mythology, Kronos was the leader and youngest of the first generation of Titans, the divine descendants of Uranus, the sky, and Gaia, the earth. He overthrew his father and ruled during the mythological Golden Age until he was overthrown by his son Zeus and imprisoned in Tartarus. Bear with me 1 second. Bear with me 1 second. I'm reading on in the same article. This is Cronus, all right? Cronus learned from Gaia, that's his wife, all right? Just like from Gaia, who was the earth, and Uranus, who was, the sky in Greek mythology, that he was destined to be overcome by his own sons, just as he had overcome his father. Remember, he overcame his father. As a result, although he sired the gods Demeter is the god that's over Thanksgiving. Right? Demeter was later called Ceres in Roman mythology. You've heard the term cereal. The term cereal comes from the Roman goddess Ceres, all right, or Demeter in the Greek. The Demeter was the goddess of fertility and goddess of the harvest. The cornucopia, that little corn thing that has the apples and the corn and things and all that during Thanksgiving, that's a cornucopia that represented Demeter, the goddess Demeter, who is the goddess of the harvest. All right? Hestia, Hera, Hades, that's where you get your stupid concept of hell from, a place where you're going to go and burn somewhere. You understand? That's not true. You're burning up in Toronto, getting shot up in North Philly, Philadelphia, shot up in New York City, shot up in Montreal, destroyed, burning, in destruction and utter decay in your life here in Canada, in your neighborhood. All right? And Poseidon by Rhea, he devoured them all as soon as they were born to prevent the prophecy. So in this story, he devoured all of his sons. All right? When the sixth child, Zeus, was born, Rhea sought Gaia to devise a plan to save them and to eventually get retribution on Cronus for his acts against his father and children. Rhea secretly gave birth to Zeus in Crete and handed Cronus a stone wrapped in swaddling clothes, also known as the Omphalos stone, which he promptly swallowed, thinking that it was his son. Rhea kept Zeus hidden in a cave on Mount Ida, Crete. According to some versions of the story, can I get some more water for some of them? According to some version of the story, he was then raised by a goat named Amalthea, while a company of Corites, armored male dancers, shouted and clapped their hands with enough noise to mask the baby's cries from Cronus. Bear with me 1 second. So The Father time that you heard about in New Year's, you've heard of Father time, that's Cronus in Greek mythology. And the baby Jesus, right, that's able to overcome and withstand and coming up against all odds, the deity, that you call the baby Jesus, that is Zeus as a child. Zeus as a child had to overcome his father because his father got a prophecy, quote unquote, that he was going to be overcome by his son like he overcame his father. So he ate all of his kids when they were born. Zeus was born. Rhea gave Cronus a rock that was in swaddling's clothes so that he would think it's the baby. He ate the rock. Rhea goes and hides Zeus on Crete and devises a plan to come up against Cronus. Chronology, Chronos or chrono, which is the root of the word chronology, the study of time, comes from the man named Cronus. It was a god in Roman mythology. All right.
So he was Janus? Chronos?
No. Bear with me 1 second. No, I don't believe so. I would ask General Muhammad. I'll look it up a little bit more. I don't believe he was Janus. All right, Cronus is where you get the term father time from, or time itself, which is what New Year's is, right? You hear the term father time around the New Year's. That's from Cronus, and that's why it's celebrated, because he's the god of doorways. The wreath, the passing in onto a new year, comes from Cronus. In the scriptures, remember, it said in Exodus 12:2, that this month is the beginning of months. And in verse 11, it said the Lord's Passover. Did it say anywhere to celebrate the new year? Celebrate the first day of the first month of the new year? No. The Lord's Passover is not on the first month of the first. Sorry, the Lord's Passover is not on the first day of the first month, but it's in the first month. That's the month that marks the beginning of months. That's not a month where you watch a ball drop. That's not a month where you regard it as some holy event. All right? All it does is it marks the new year. All right? Bear with me 1 second.
I say still in Exodus 20:5, sir?
23, where it says, thou shalt not serve any gods before me.
Sir.
Bear with me 1 second. Once he had grown up, Zeus used an emetic given to him by Gaia to force Cronus to disgorge the contents of his stomach in reverse order. First, the stone, which was set down at Pytho under the glens of Mount Parnassus to be assigned to mortal men, and then his 2 brothers and 3 sisters. In other versions of the tale, Methus gave Cronus an emetic to force him to disgorge the children. All right, so eventually, so Zeus gave him something that would make him throw up all the kids that he swallowed or consumed. Zeus killed Kronos. That's where you get the story of your baby Jesus coming from. And then Jesus was born immaculately. He came as a baby that was immaculately conceived. That's from Kronos and Zeus. All right? That deity that you worship of Jesus is who came about through an immaculate conception. It's not in the scriptures. It's not in the scriptures, but it is in Greek mythology. And it is celebrated and pushed during Christmas, during the New Year's, and all the so-called white man's holidays. All right, but let's get into the scriptures. What does the Most High have to say about all this? What does the scriptures say on this matter? Let's prove it. All right, as we prove all things. Give me Exodus 20:3.
God, sir. Exodus chapter 20, verse 3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
Thou shalt not what?
Thou shalt not have no other gods before me.
Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Read on.
Verse 4. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image.
Right. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. Go ahead.
God. Or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth.
Right. You should not have any graven image. You should not make anything that's like in the earth and be above, earth above, or the sea. Heaven above, or the earth beneath, or the sea beneath. Keep going.
Verse 5. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them.
Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them. You can't have an image that you bow down to, that you serve, and you bow down to and you serve that stinking Christmas tree. You bow down to it. You put gifts under it. When you were a kid, you believed that a fat white man named Santa dropped gifts off and ate cookies and milk in your house when you were asleep. Meanwhile, your mom and dad tell you, don't let any intruders in the house. But then you're told that an intruder comes every December 25th to eat hot cookies and milk. That's ridiculous, man. That's ridiculous. Read that scripture again. To bow down thyself or worship them.
Verse 5. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them.
All right, you shall not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. You can't serve an image, man. You can't serve whales and seals and rocks in Mecca and the wooden cross in the Christian church and the tree, you understand, and weed. You can't serve any of those things. You can't bow down yourself to them and worship them. Why? Because you're supposed to worship the Most High. Get me, I am a jealous God, Officer Famayam.
It's verse 5, sorry.
Okay, read.
Come. Nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God.
For I, the Lord thy God, am what?
A jealous God.
A jealous God. Go ahead.
Visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, up to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me.
The Lord said, I'm a jealous God. He has jealousy. The Lord has emotions. He has anger. He has wrath. You say he has mercy. You say he has loving kindness, as David said. The Lord has emotions. He's allowed to feel them. You understand? He is perfect. You understand? All his doings. You understand? He is the most high power. You understand what I'm saying? And he's the jealous God. Like imagine like in Ezekiel, in Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 2, the Lord likens us, Israel, to a delicate and comely woman. Imagine you had a woman that's bad, beautiful, that you love and cherish. You took and you raised up. You taught her how to do different things, how to be a virtuous woman. And she goes and cheats on you. You're going to be jealous. You're going to be enraged. And that's how the Most High is with us. We're a people that he brought up out of Egypt. Of all the people on the planet Earth, of the Pashtuns, the Afghanistanis, the Africans, the East Indians, the so-called white man, he took us, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, and put us in our own land. He hasn't done that with anyone else. Set us up, gave us rules, guidelines, and told us to only be with him. We go and left and committed fornication, serving other gods. He looks at us just like you look at a woman that cheats on you, enraged, inflamed. He's a jealous God, and he's upset when you go and celebrate New Year's, when you go and watch the ball drop, when you go to a New Year's party thinking you understand that you're in the truth with UPK headband, all that other nonsense. When you go and celebrate the cultures and the customs of the heathen, you understand, the other nations, he's jealous of it. He's jealous of it. Read on.
Come on, sir. Visiting, like verse 6. And showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me.
Right, so he visits the iniquity of the fathers upon the third and fourth generation. That's a reincarnation scripture in that your line, you come back into your line around 3 or 4 generations after you die. It's not exact. In some cases, it's more. You understand? In many cases, it's more. You understand? But around 3 or 4 generations, you come back in the earth. And that's why the Lord visits the iniquity of the fathers in the 3rd and 4th generation, because they pay for it in the next life. You understand what I'm saying? This is something that was also taught, like everything we teach. This is something that YAHWH taught his disciples. In John 9 and 1. Remember in John the 9th chapter, the disciples turned to Christ YAHWH and asked what? Why is this man born blind? Did he sin? Or his parents? How would the sins of the parents fall on him? And why? How would his sin make him born blind? He didn't say, how did he came out of the womb eating pork? I don't understand. his sins made him born blind if he did something in his past life, and he was punished for it. You understand? Your iniquity was visited upon the third and fourth generation because you come back into your line around that time. You understand? So what you do now matters. You understand? And the celebrating of January is ensuring that your children are cursed. It's ensuring that you're born into a house with a drunk father, beating your mother half to death in Thunder Bay. That you're born into a reservation with no doors and no floors. It ensures it. The celebration of New Year's. Barzal?
Like you said, if I may. So the fourth generation would be like, for example, a grandfather, that would go through his children, but that cut the fourth generation after the third from the grandfather, and so that would be.
It'll be the great grandfather was the fourth generation. You understand? I ain't a bar. All right, so the Lord is a jealous God. You hold anything else for some of you? Any scripture I had you hold?
Oh, you had on Exodus 25.
Okay, that was it. So we got that. All right, so this is Cronus, is the same article. Reading from the Renaissance to the present. During the Renaissance, the identification of Cronus and Chronos gave rise to Father Time, wielding the harvesting scythe. All right? So Father Time, again, like all things disgusting evil against the Most High, were reestablished in the Renaissance. All right, give me Malachi chapter 3, verse 1. Say, we will rebuild the desolate places. Malachi 1?
Malachi chapter 4, verse 1.
Malachi, are you sure? All right, Malachi 4 and 1. I thought it was 3 and 4.
It's 1 and 4.
1 and 4, yeah. You were right. Come on. Malachi chapter 1, verse, give me Malachi 1 and 3. The Renaissance is where New Year's, Christmas, and all that was brought back into the earth. Remember, for a period of time, around 1,000 years, you had what was called the Dark Ages. And during the Dark Ages, Christmas was around because Christmas, like Christianity, was started by a so-called Negro named Constantine in the Council of Nicene. Around 325 AD, it's damn near the birth council of Christianity as you know it today. All right, where the cross was brought in, Christ, the Immaculate Conception was brought in, the Sunday worship was brought in, and Christmas was brought in during that time, which is the worship of the incomparable Son, Sol Invictus. All right. During that time, you had Christmas, right? New Year's was something that was brought around during the Renaissance period. It was brought back along with Christmas in its truest sense during the Renaissance. You understand what I'm saying? And it was brought to the height that is seen today during the Renaissance. Christmas at one time was not as popular at all in the United States as it is today. Christmas at one time was banned in some states. You know why? Because people would get drunk and fight. People would kill each other like they do today. So they were wise and they banned Christmas, which should be banned in Philadelphia. In Philadelphia, you don't need Christmas. You need to stop shooting each other. You understand what I'm saying? You don't need a Christmas. You're angry and hating enough. You understand? Filled with enough hate, all right, to make a skinhead jealous. You understand? You get my point? Don't need a damn Christmas. It was banned in many areas, but the ban was lifted because a man named Washington Irving saw how much of a commercial holiday it could be, how much money businesses could make. All right? But all of these things were things that were established, were brought to their height, to their fruition during the Renaissance period. All right? And the Renaissance is in the Bible. We're going to read it. Read.
This is the book of Malachi, chapter 1 and verse 3.
Go ahead.
And I hated Esau.
And I what?
and I hated Esau.
Oh, the Most High what?
I hated Esau.
The Most High hates Esau. In Genesis, the 25th chapter, he says about Esau that he came out red and hairy all over. Let the so-called white man in Canada, let him go without shaving for a week. He'll grow a bear coat. Let him stay out in the sun too long. And his skin will turn red. He'll get sunburnt. You're saying he's red and hairy all over. The so-called white man, or Esau, the Lord hates and hated. He hated Esau. Read on.
Con with a con. And laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness.
Right. Laid his mountains and wilderness waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Let this place destroy. Let every lizard and creeping thing roll in there and set up shop. Laid his heritage and his foundations waste. When did that happen? That happened at the fall of the Roman Empire. At the fall of the Roman Empire, the white man was laid waste. The white man was not in the dominant position. The white supremacy was not ruling the planet Earth when Rome fell. You understand? Men weren't running around in the army with makeup and red lipstick on. You understand? Men didn't believe that homosexuality was an alternative lifestyle. You damn near, during the Dark Ages, you damn near can find no account of stripping. Did you know that? After there was a woman that was married to Diocletian, one of these emperors of Byzantine. She did something that was sultry and seductive, right? After that, it says there was almost no account of stripping during the Dark Ages. There was no strip club in the Dark Ages, but there were royal and temple prostitutes in around Rome. You understand? There were whorehouses and brothels in Pompeii. You understand what I'm saying? In Corinth. But during the Dark Ages, when Negroes ruled, you damn near couldn't find a whorehouse. We were eating mutton. You know what mutton is? Mutton was lamb. You understand? During the Dark Ages, didn't they eat legs of mutton? Negroes ate lamb. Israelites ate lamb. Why? Why was there so much lamb? Why was that popular? Because we were ruling during the Dark Ages.
Right.
You understand? That's why there's always a Negro in every night movie, Game of Thrones, all that. There's always a black person. You understand why? Because we were there. You understand? The thing they don't tell you is we were the one ruling. They were the serfs. They were working in the castles, making crops and decaying half to death. You understand? In raggedy clothes, and we were the kings and queens. You understand? We're not to be queens, but they were in truth. So they had queens and stuff like that. But at that time, during the Dark Ages, the white man's heritage, Esau's heritage, was laid waste. He had receded into the Caucasus Mountains of Georgia, Russia, and would try to come out and would get his behind whooped. I mean, he would get absolutely stone cold whooped back into the mountains of Georgia, Russia, and was getting whooped by Genghis Khan. You ever heard of Genghis Khan? He was getting whooped by Genghis Khan to come out. Because Genghis Khan was coming from Mongolia, right? He's coming from Mongolia and whooping the behind of the so-called white man in the Caucasus Mountains. That pushed the white man out down into Turkey and over into Eastern Europe, right? Trying to take what we had in Eastern Europe and in different areas. He pushed all the way to Germany, and in 800 AD got crushed by Otto. There's a Holy Roman Emperor named Otto that crushed the so-called white man and pushed him all the way back to the Caucasus Mountains. That's in university libraries. The Black Holy Roman Emperor Otto stopped the invasion of this horde from the Caucasus Mountains that was described as being so weak they couldn't walk, but they could ride horses and shoot very well. The white man is extremely weak, but he can walk into a school and kill 12 people with a shotgun. You understand? That's who was trying to attack them. They were destroyed. Their heritage was laid waste, as it says in Malachi chapter 1, verse 3. You understand? Officer, tell me up.
So, it was called the Ottoman Turks. That when Otto had to destroy them?
No, the Ottoman Turks. You got to hold that for another week. Or ask that in class. The Ottoman Turks are Edomites. They're not Arabs.
They're all saying, when you say the Roman Emperor Otto.
Not the Roman Emperor Otto, but there was another Otto that was over Turkey.
Yeah, well, that's him. I did some study, some research on it. and he conquered them. They were serving him. He followed Islam.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why.
You got to show me that after class. I don't think that's the same. That's not the same Holy Roman Emperor. Holy Roman Emperor Otto was around. This one I'm talking about was around during the 800s.
Okay,
Not. I think the Ottoman Empire was started the 1400s when they took Constantinople.
Okay, it was called the
Seljuks.
Seljuks,
Yeah, Seljuks. They had the Magyars, and you had another group. They were slaves and slave soldiers during the 800s, early on in Turkey, right, and up to the 1400s. They, like the so-called Macedonians or the Greeks, got their start through being slaves, through being military, you understand, warriors. Like Haman in the book of Esther, he was in the Persian Empire. That was the empire run by Japhetic people and by the East Indians. Haman was a so-called Jewish man, Amalekite, in their government. That's how the Seljuks got power in Turkey. They began to form a military, form an army, and they overthrew the last of the Israelites that were in Turkey and Constantinople in 1492. It just so happened that Columbus could sail the ocean blue that same year. You understand? They took Constantinople from the Israelites. You understand what I'm saying? Like those groups, the Magyars, the Seljuks, all those are Edomite tribes that converted to Islam. Those are not Arabs. You understand? So the Turks, the Greeks, all of them are Edomites. All right. That's a little bit of history on the birth of the Ottoman Empire. We can get into it more. I need to go back and get my notes, look at my notes on it.
Okay.
All right. But Tawada, Officer Thumayam, for bringing that out about the Turks. The Turks, they were laid waste. They were Seljuks and Mamluks, and they were military janissaries is the term. Meaning whenever you needed military, you went to get white people because they know how to kill. You understand what I'm saying? And they were hired by the Arabs and by Israelites in the Byzantine Empire to serve in the military. All right? They overthrew us, destroyed Constantinople horribly in 1492, finally, and then were able to start what? The Renaissance, the rebirth. All right? Read. Go ahead.
I want to know too. Also, when they conquered Constantinople, right? They called it Istanbul. They said Turkey, right?
They changed the name to Istanbul. I don't recall what that means yet, but they took it and they named it Istanbul. It probably has something to do with them. You're saying they're not Constantine. You're saying Constantinople was named after Constantine. And when they took it, they renamed it Istanbul. Istanbul is a city that we once lived in. You understand? Under the Byzantine Empire. All right. Read.
This is the book of Malachi, chapter 1, verse 4. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished.
Whereas Edom saith, we were impoverished. They say they're impoverished. They say there's a period called the Dark Ages that had no mathematical and scientific inventions. It was horrible. It was terrible to live in. It was this. It was that. They said they were impoverished. They were impoverished during that time. That's why it was horrible for them. That's why it was the Dark Ages. Read on.
But we will return and build the desolate places.
Return and build the desolate places. All right. It's like Istanbul was renamed in 1924. It was previously named Constantinople, but they later changed it to suit them. You understand? Read that part again.
But we will return and build the desolate places.
Right, return and rebuild the desolate places. The desolate place, where's the desolate place? Rome. And Rome was rebuilt under the Roman Catholic Church. You understand? Turkey, rebuilt. You understand what I'm saying? The Spain, Portugal, all the places that the Roman conquered, they were rebuilt. Russia came out of nothing and rebuilt itself, along with all the so-called white man's empires. Why? Because it's in the Bible.
Right.
Understand? Read on.
Thus said the Most High of Hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down.
Right.
And they shall call them the border of wickedness.
They shall build, but I will throw down. I'll call them the border of wickedness. You understand? The white man is the border of wickedness. The term Istanbul, The popular belief for the origin of the name Istanbul is from Islambul, which is like it's Greek or Turkish for plenty of Islam or city of Islam. They went and conquered it. A few hundred years later, they thought they were holy, so they named it Istanbul or city of Islam when it was really Constantinople. Right. You understand? So that's the origin of the name Istanbul, Turkey. All right. The white man went and changed times and he changed laws. Did you read that? You didn't read that. Give me Daniel 7:25.
Oh, God, sir. Daniel, chapter 7, verse 25. And he shall speak words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High. They think to change times and laws. And
shall think, so I believe you did read it. Shall think to change times and laws. Go ahead.
You want me to get Psalms 49:11?
Khan, give me Psalm 49:11 for Istanbul. He would think to change times and laws. Remember, the New Year's is marked by the Lord's Passover. That's the month that marks the New Year. The so-called white man said is January 1st. The months in the Hebrew calendar are reckoned by numbers.
Right.
Kadash is month or moon. Rashwan, first month. Shanya, Kadash Shanya, second month. Kadash Shalash, third month. And this is in the Hebrew. All right? He says it's January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Why? Because he changed times. He changed laws. He said pork is the other white meat. When the Bible says pork is an abomination. Let's raise this book up. This book says pork is an abomination. Right? The so-called white man in Canada says you can have Thai massage parlors and whorehouses when this book says prostitute not thy daughter, lest the land fall to whoredom. Right? This book says that if man lie with man like they do in Afghanistan, all right, if man lie with a man like he lied with a woman, it's an abomination. It's a disgusting thing. The white man says it's an alternative lifestyle. Why? Because he is the Roman Empire. He is the fourth beast of Daniel, the 7th chapter. He thought to change times and laws. All right? Finish the verse, Officer Famian. Or sorry, read Psalm 49:11. This is for Istanbul, Turkey, and why they change. White man changes will take America and call it America. America, it was a name that was coined by a German scholar. You understand? It wasn't called Columbus or Columbia because no one liked Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus was a loser. If you read any biography about him, you'll know that he was someone that was hated. And he was in prison before his death, I believe. He was in prison, I think, multiple times, at least once. He was in prison because the money wasn't for him. The wealth and the riches of Hispaniola weren't for him. That's why. That's why. You understand? And so it wasn't named Columbia. America, the place you know of as America, North America, wasn't named Columbia because Christopher Columbus was a historical loser. All right, you read him in history. He was locked up. People hated him. You know, they didn't like what he was doing. He destroyed the so-called Taínos, right, and the so-called West Indians. He is where were we? Psalm 49:11, right. Okay. When he conquered that land, he called it Hispaniola. All right, it was named Hispaniola by the so-called white man. Haiti was given the term Haiti from the so-called Frenchman, which meant hell. Cuba was given that name by the so-called white man. North America, many of the so-called Native American Indians, many of their tribal names were given to them by the so-called white man. Do you understand what I'm saying? And this is why. Read.
Come, sir. Psalm chapter 49, verse 11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever.
Their inward thought is their houses shall continue forever. Their inward thought in Toronto, their inward thought in Montreal is that their houses will continue forever. Read on.
Come, sir. And their dwelling places to all generations.
And their dwelling places to all generations. White people in Canada think they're going to live forever. They're going to be around forever. They're going to survive forever. And read on. Shalaki.
Come. They call their lands after their own names.
Right, and they call their lands after their own names. Read on.
Come. Verse 12. Nevertheless, man being in honor abideth not.
Nevertheless, man being in honor abideth not. It's like, getting back to they call the lands after their own names. Salaki.
Verse 11. Their inward thoughts is that their houses shall continue forever.
Right, they'll continue forever. New Year's, January 1st, more Christmas. Read on.
And their dwelling places to all generations.
Right, their dwelling places to all generations. Go ahead.
They call their lands after their own name.
They call the lands after their own names. That's why Istanbul was named Istanbul. That's why Canada was named Canada. That's why Montreal was named Montreal. The Native Americans didn't call it Montreal. It was just called, the name for Montreal in the Iroquoian tongue, which is really bastardized Hebrew, which is really broken Hebrew. Native American Indians, their native tongues, that's broken Hebrew that they're speaking. You listen closely. They're speaking a broken form of Hebrew. And the term that was given for Montreal was just a place by the river, which is crazy because many of the names we give in the Bible are just place. If you translate it, it just means place by the river or city of peace. You understand? That's what we call it. We didn't call it Mount Royal. The so-called white man, James Cartier, I believe his name is, Mr. Cartier, the devil, came there and called it Montreal for the Royal Mount, for the mount that was there, the mountain that's there on the island of Montreal. All right? And with that, New Year's is not January 1st. The white man is the devil. He's the liar. And he lied and said that New Year's is January 1st. And if you celebrate New Year's, you're doing it to your ruin. And you're doing it to our ruin too. We are a nation of people. And our nation is being destroyed because we don't keep the laws. Because we think, we want to love the so-called white man. You understand? We want to take in Afghanistanis as Israelites. There's some nut somewhere that says the Pashtuns are Israelites. And some Negroes may believe it. Some nut somewhere that's saying this group is Israelites, that group is Israelites. January 1st is a new year. We can smoke weed. People everywhere pushing sins, transgressions of the law. Why? Because they know it's to our ruin. New Year's is to our ruin. Don't celebrate it, and we will be protected. With that being said, I'm priest officer of 1,000 a month over I.S.U.P.K in Canada. All right, we're going to be making a trip to Toronto. If you're in the Toronto area, get with us, man. Get with us. January 12th. All right, check us out. We're going to be in a local community center, Lord allow. The number to contact about information is 347-474-8525. 347-474-8525. That's my number. That's my Google Voice number. So you just tell me who you are. I'm going to press 1 and I'm going to call you. All right. All right. With that being said, all right. Shalom.